If you have an Amazon FBA business and you currently have a product sourcing VA, or you're looking to hire one, simply don't. And make sure you watch the entirety of the video while I explain exactly why this is. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you exactly why I think it can personally be one of the biggest mistakes you can make in your Amazon FBA business. And genuinely, I think it can be one of the single-handed reasons that can actually make most Amazon businesses fail. So just to confirm, I'm specifically talking about product sourcing VAs. Admin VAs or finance VAs or other type of virtual assistants can be okay, and that's kind of a little bit of a different story. But in this video, I'm specifically talking about product sourcing VAs for your Amazon FBA wholesale business. Now, I have personally seen and heard of many people who have used product sourcing VAs in the past. Some of my students have come on board and they've been using product sourcing VAs to source their products. And generally speaking, it never ends well. Now, there are actually a ton of different reasons that this can actually be for, and I'm going to be explaining all of them in this video. And I'm actually going to be giving you some alternative solutions so that you're not actually going to need a product sourcing VA, and I'm going to explain exactly why. So please make sure you watch to the end of the video, as it can genuinely change your Amazon business. So if you're new to the channel and haven't seen me before, my name is Davy, and I've been in the Amazon wholesale space for around about 4.5 to 5 years now. And I've scaled to a multi-7-figure per year level. We've got a warehouse, a full team of staff, systems, process, operations, and I've been able to do all of this without having to use a single virtual assistant within my Amazon business. No product sourcing VAs, no admin VAs, no finance VAs, no virtual assistants at all, just a team of staff who I've built all within the UK who all work within my business. So firstly, why do most people actually go down the route of getting a sourcing VA? I think the first thing is a lot of people are sold a dream that you can just employ somebody for 150, 200 pounds per month. You can say, go source me all these products, and they're going to come back with a load of products that are going to make you thousands and thousands of pounds in profit. And I think that's a false misconception that is sold online, and it's definitely not true. I think the second thing is they don't truly understand how important sourcing products and contacting brands is in an Amazon business. And the third reason, which is completely valid, is they want to buy their time back, which in principle is right, okay? As a business owner, you should really try not to work in the day-to-day operations of your business, and you should actually try working on the business to be able to systemize and put processes in place to be able to make sure you're not working in the day-to-day operations. But when it comes to product sourcing and contacting brands, you're trying to buy your time back with a VA, but you're actually buying your wrong time back. And what I mean by this is there's a lot of other time that you're spending on other different tasks that you should look to outsource first. And I would probably say you need to be a minimum of maybe 200 to 300K per month before you even consider getting a buyer or somebody to do your procurement or your product sourcing for you. And it's at that point that you can look for somebody specialist to actually come in and do that and help you grow and scale your portfolio. However, I personally would always recommend sourcing a good quality talent within the UK. And I definitely don't think it's necessary until, again, you're at the 200 to 300K per month mark. And the reason why I would hire from the UK is within an Amazon business, the 3 highest value tasks within the business are product sourcing, contacting brands, and negotiating with suppliers. They are basically the highest value tasks that you can complete in your Amazon business. So what do I mean by high value task? Well, high value task is a needle moving task, something that's actually going to propel your business forward and actually drive the revenue of your business. So the opposite of a high value task is a low value task. A low value task is something that's not really going to drive the revenue forward within the business, but it still has to be done. I'm talking packing and prepping products. I'm talking admin tasks, buying stock, paying your suppliers, doing compliance, all these different kind of things that are like small, niggly admin tasks, but they're really low value. Like by you allocating your time towards these tasks, it's not really going to increase or drive the revenue within your business. Whereas product sourcing, contacting brands, building relationships, this kind of thing is like the backbone of the business, the core foundations of an Amazon business. So that is why you should be putting all of your focus into spending as much of your time as physically possible in these tasks. And this is exactly why I wouldn't use a VA to do these tasks. Because what you've got to think is English is probably not their first speaking language. They're on a different time zone and they're in a different country to you. They're typically going to be a low skill level. You're paying them 150, 200, 250 pounds per month. So realistically, they're just going to do exactly what you tell them. Whereas to actually get good quality trade accounts, you're going to need to be contacting these businesses professionally, okay? You're going to need to be contacting them via the phone. You're going to need to be speaking to them. You're going to need to understand their business, their distribution. You're going to need to understand all of these different things. And to really get good quality accounts, you're going to have to overcome rejections. You're going to have to handle supplier objections. You're going to have to do all of these things, which are really quite high level tasks. And it's not something that a VA is going to be able to do at a high level. So what you've got to understand is, yes, okay, you might be buying your time back and they may be getting you some trade accounts, but the quality of these trade accounts are going to be so incredibly poor, it's going to kill your business. You're going to be buying bad type of products, typically from wholesalers or distributors. You're basically going to be getting the bottom barrel of the products, the Niveas, the Links, these kind of listings where they're so easily accessible to everybody. The barrier to entry is so low that it's just going to be so competitive. And you're just going to be buying deals that within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months become so saturated, you're going to get stuck with stock. And I promise you, I've not just seen this on one occasion. I've seen this on 10, 20, 30 different occasions where somebody's got a sourcing VA, they're buying from a wholesaler or a distributor, they're getting the VA to scan through the price list, find the good products, that kind of thing. I'm telling you now, it's not scalable. You're not going to make much margin and it becomes super hard. And there is a solution to this. There is a big alternative where you don't really need to use a sourcing VA. If you are struggling with maybe sourcing products, contacting brands, negotiating, actually getting good quality trade accounts, maybe you're using a VA at the moment and you're not having much success, whatever it may be, if you're struggling with your Amazon business and you're really looking to scale, you can go to the description of this video actually and just book in a no pressure call with myself. And we can basically just go through what it is you're looking to achieve and whether you'd be a good fit for my coaching program or not. Again, it's a no pressure call. So if you're interested and you think you could potentially get value offers, go to the description of this video and you can book in a free call. So anyway, your objective as an Amazon business owner really is to focus on slowly bringing yourself away from the day-to-day functions of the business. And gradually over time, just outsourcing and delegating these lower value tasks to other people so that you can focus your sole time on the high value tasks, which is sourcing, contacting brands, negotiating, building relationships. And in effect, you want to be able to work on the business and not really within it. And this is not going to happen overnight. And if you're already an Amazon seller now, you're probably thinking, of course, like I'm probably doing 90% of the functions within the Amazon business at the moment, probably like 99%. You're probably doing like the finance, the admin, the replenishment, the product sourcing. You're probably doing the prep, like every aspect of the business. If you're probably under 30K per month, you're probably doing absolutely everything yourself. And that is fine. And I'm saying this from experience, like up until probably 40K per month, I was pretty much doing exactly the same. And I didn't really know how to outsource. I didn't know how to delegate. And I was in a really tricky position because I knew I shouldn't be spending the time on these lower value tasks, but I was just getting so encapsulated on a day-to-day that my time was just getting drained from these tasks. And if you are sort of in that situation, a sourcing VA can seem like an easy way out. You know, if you don't really have that much time to source or you're feeling that you're getting quite overwhelmed, getting a sourcing VA can be like, okay, cool. I'm gonna be able to source more products without having to put any time into it. But I promise you that is not the solution. So instead of getting a sourcing VA, you should actually look to outsource and hire for other roles within the business first. And this is even applicable if you're doing 5K a month, 10K a month, even if you're doing 30 or 50K a month, whatever it is you're kind of doing in your Amazon business. If I was to go back to square one and start from zero, this is kind of the order that I would hire in. So the first thing that you should look to outsource within your Amazon business is the prep. And whether that's to an employee or whether that's to a prep center, the first way that you should actually be buying your time back is through the prep. Especially if you're doing 20, 30K a month, you're probably going to be spending maybe 15 to 20 hours per week on prep, which if you can even outsource that for £10 an hour, £12 an hour, £9 an hour, whatever it may be, you are going to make so much more money through sourcing products than you actually are going to be just sat prepping the products. So when it comes to hiring, the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to get sort of a family friend or an associate or somebody that you already know, somebody that you know, like, and trust to actually be able to pack and prep for you on a 0-hour basis. Ideally, you want somebody who is not going to be relying on it as their full-time income. Maybe they're a student, maybe they're at college, maybe they're at school or university or something, and they're looking for just a little bit of a side job, a side income, and it can work perfectly for you. Because as an Amazon seller, some weeks you might have 30 hours worth of packing per week to do because you might have loads of shipments coming in, and the next week you might have no shipments. So you kind of want it on a free flow basis, and you want it to be really flexible. So the first thing you should hire for is, if you're not going to go down the prep center route, you should hire in person somebody that you already know, like, and trust within your proximity to actually prep for you. If you don't have anybody in your close proximity or in your network, you can go into your local Facebook group and just advertise for a job within there and try get somebody on. But ultimately, your first employee is going to have to be supervised. So even if you can cut your prep time down from 20 hours per week to maybe 5 or 10 hours, it just buys you that extra little bit of time back that you can spend again on those 3 high value tasks. So that is the main thing that you should really hire for. Not to go into too much detail, but the roles that I would hire for after is I would probably hire for an admin role to take care of the account health, any admin little bits, finance, you know, all of the little niggly bits within the Amazon business. And you can maybe even promote the packer or the warehouse staff to actually be able to get to that level and actually promote sort of in-house to get them to do a multi-role. Then later on down the line, you can look at different bookkeeping and different admin functions. Again, you can maybe get your accountants to do this as well. Sometimes they do offer, you know, bookkeeping services. We personally hire for it in-house, and we've got somebody who works 1 day per week doing that kind of thing. But again, that's what I'd hire for next. And then it's after you've hired for those different roles, you've kind of built your own little ecosystem with, you maybe got a couple of different employees that maybe work on a 0 hour, or maybe you've even got your first full-time employee at this stage, and you've got a little ecosystem where products can come in, you don't necessarily have to touch them, and they go out. That's when you can really, you know, you're probably doing 50, 100, 200K per month at that point. That's when you can potentially start to consider hiring for a product sourcer. But again, you want to basically focus all of your time and efforts and basically delegate all of the lower value tasks so that you can spend all of your time on the sourcing, the contacting brands, and the negotiations process. Because ultimately, that is what's going to drive the business forward. That is what's going to move the needle. It's going to increase the revenue. And yeah, overall, you're just going to have a much more successful Amazon business. And it's because it's the highest value tasks. You want to be doing it yourself. You want to be in control of it. You know the best way to do it. You're the most experienced at doing it. Once you've done it for a couple of years as well, and you've actually done it yourself, it makes it so much easier to hire for because you know exactly what you're looking for. So product sourcing is actually the last thing that you should hire for in your business. So moral of the story is, please don't get a VA. Outsource everything else first in terms of your prep, everything like that. Trust me, focus as much time on your sourcing as possible, and you will see some great returns. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.